going back to those people who say, no, it's impossible, not having those, I guess, embedded ideas and the ability and indeed the sort of the entrepreneurship to actually, if a lot of people are saying no, then there's got to be a yes somewhere that nobody else has thought of.
I think with a lot of this stuff, there's a lot of legacy thinking, not just in this industry. We saw it in Fintech before this. There was a lot of legacy thinking with the banks as well. Why doesn't a bank like Barclays or HSBC have a decent log-on process for businesses? You compare that to Revolut or Monzo or one of the new kind of neobanks, and it just works. And it's not because it's impossible to do. It's just all of this legacy that kind of holds people back. And I think when you're fresh into an industry, we came into this industry with a blank sheet of paper, we skilled up, we learned as much as we could about the industry, but ultimately we're trying to solve things from the perspective of being passengers, but also being technologists.
Okay, let's look at the end-to-end process. Let's start with in terms of the hardware, the actual vehicles and the batteries, the EV charging side of things. We'll move on to the customer experience and the software side too. But firstly, tell us a bit about the vehicles and the sort of the charging infrastructure and how you're managing to. I mean, obviously you're on a relatively small number of routes at the moment, but the ambition again we'll come back to is enormous. But tell us a little bit about just the actual hardware that you sit on.
Yeah, the hardware. It's great having this hardware side of the business because obviously a lot of kind of tech businesses don't have a hardware element, and you're kind of focused on the software and the product and making sure that you get the product market fit nailed. And for us, we have this really big hardware element. And obviously, if you want to run electric vehicles, you need the vehicle. Now, for the vehicle, the first ones that we were buying off the shelf from a Chinese supplier called Yutong, who are the biggest bus and coach manufacturer in the world. But to run those vehicles, you also need the chargers. And that was kind of a learning journey that we've been on. Because ultimately what's, I guess, unique about our business model is this high utilization. So each vehicle is doing nearly 1,000 kilometers a day. And to do that, you need to be driving, then charging, then driving, then charging multiple times per day. But to do that is when you get into the detail of, okay, well, you need a water-cooled battery. Okay, what kind of cooling system do you need? What is the optimal temperature for a battery to be at? And then from there, you go on the hardware side, you go back to your charger. So why does your charger not have 100% reliability? Oh, that's because this has a voltage fluctuation of 5 millivolts, but really it should be 2 millivolts. And all of that side of the business on that hardware, I guess, is something that we've really been learning a lot about. We don't want to build our own buses. We don't want to build our own chargers. What we do want to do is use the best technology out there to deliver the passenger experience and get people, where they want to go. So where we've ended up is now our coaches are fully electric. They're always been fully electric. They are what you would think of as a kind of traditional coach. They look, it's a 14-meter long vehicle, 53 seats. And, you go on board. I think you probably think that it's a bit better than most of your coaches in that you have a little bit of extra leg room. The seats are very high quality. There's 5G Wi-Fi. All of those things that you kind of see as a passenger are kind of adding into the experience.
Yeah. And there's a lot of, as you say, learning there. You're coming from a fintech company. Is there a sort of touching on sort of your university experience or beyond, is there a sort of an engineering or a nerdy tech side in there as well as the sort of the fintech software side of things?
I think so. I think Pierce and I are both just hyper curious and kind of product engineering style people. And so we look at all of this stuff with kind of this deep curiosity of wanting to understand what is really possible. And I think when you do that, you start to unlock what the technology can really do. And that's why I say that when we said to people, we want to drive 1,000 kilometers a day, people said, you just can't do that. And then it's kind of, well, why? Why can't you do that? And then they give you a reason and they say, oh, because your charging curves won't work because the battery will overheat. And it's like, well, okay, well, why is that? How does heat dissipation from a battery work? What are the different coolants that you can use? And you can kind of get into all of this detail. And it's a bit of a rabbit hole sometimes, actually. But that's where you then also need to be able to think at that micro level and then zoom right back out and say, hey, me as a passenger, what is important to me? It's about getting to where I want to go. And so as a business, what Ember is trying to deliver on is take all the learnings about batteries and charging and use that to deliver a service that's just much more reliable. We want to be well more reliable than a diesel coach, for example. And I know this actually from looking at other operators, they're breaking down far more than us. And that's because one, I think the technology is just better, but also our understanding of the technology and how we can see a problem manifesting itself before it's a problem means that we have less downtime. And it's that less downtime that a passenger really appreciates. It's not that they care that the motor temperature is 30 degrees versus 35 degrees. They care that, the service said it was going to be there and it was there every day, every day of the year. It's the same.